House of Representatives pause to recognize an outstanding Missouri citizen who has distinguished himself as a leader of his peers. And whereas Etoya Dickerson is to be commended to for his assistance in a choking incident that occurred at Westview Middle School at the Riverview Garden School District on September the 1st, 2023. Whereas Etoya Dickerson was monitoring the sixth grade lunch period when he noticed a group of students that had gathered around fellow student Madison Furlow, who appeared to be choking. Whereas Etoya Dickerson sprang into action without hesitation and quickly administered the Heimlich maneuver to help dislodge a piece of pizza that has gotten stuck in Madison's airway. Whereas Etoya Dickerson is a resident of Ferguson, a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. Who graduated from the University of Central Missouri with a Bachelor of Science degree in history. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Missouri House of Representatives, 102nd General Assembly, join in expressing our utmost appreciation to Etoya Dixon for his heroism in saving the life of sixth grade Madison Furlow, and wishing him only the very best of success in all his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that the chief clerk of the Missouri House of Representatives be instructed to prepare a prosperous inscribed copy of this resolution for Etoya Dickerson as a mark of his esteem for him. And it is definitely signed by myself, State Representative Yolanda Fountain Henderson, the district number 85. All right. Uh-huh. Oh, wonderful. Awesome. All right.
So this is Madison, the scholar that was in the incident. And so we definitely want to be grateful for Mr. Dickerson, for her being present, for him being present. So thank you all for coming.
All right. One more. Whereas the members of the Missouri Senate believe it's altogether right and proper to pause from a time to time to recognize outstanding Missouri citizen who has proven to be courageous and capable when lives are in peril. Whereas the members of pause to recognize Etoya Dickerson of Ferguson, Missouri, in light of his heroic action during an incident September the 1st, 2023. Whereas a homeschool coordinator at Westview, Middle School, Etoya Dickerson, partner with school administrative teachers, staff, students, parents, community members to desire and implement programs that enable students to fully benefit from their educational experience. Whereas while monitoring the sixth grade lunch period at Westview Middle School, Etoya Dickerson observed a student began choking, immediately administered the Heimlich maneuver until the instruction was dislodged from the student's airway. Whereas exhibiting a quick reflex in judgment, outstanding professionalism, Etoya Dickerson applied the skills and training to the highest level and established himself as invaluable asset to the Riverview Garden School District. Whereas Etoya Dickerson is a distinguished graduate of the University of Central Missouri, where he earned a bachelor's degree in history and minor. Whereas Etoya Dickerson is a proud member of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, which endeavor to unite college men of culture, patriotism, honor, and a bond of fraternity and courage, honorable achievement in every field of human endeavor, promote the spiritual, social, intelligence, moral welfare of its members, and inspire service in the public. Whereas Latoya Dixon has further served his community as a licensed real estate agent, enjoys long walks, listening to self-endeavment, audio books, fishing, and working with children. Whereas Latoya Dixon has been support in all his endeavors for his devoted family, which members included his beloved life partner of 22 years, his four precious children, the leadership of River Garden School District, the staff and students at Westview Middle School, and a host of other family members and friends. Now, therefore, be resolved that we, the members of the Missouri Senate 102nd General Assembly, extended our most sincere appreciation, congratulations to our Etoya Dickinson at his proud moment of well-deserved distinction. Well, it's further resolved that the Secretary of this state instructed to prepare a properly inscribed copy of this resolution presentation from Toya Dickinson, and this is on the behalf of our Senator Angela Walton Mosley.
Representative of the family as well, would like to come up and take a photo.
Come around, yeah, come around, okay?
Board members, come on.
Yeah. I'm calling. Oh, when. Oh, that's okay.
You got time. Look at me
No pain, no pain. I'm proud of you. Keep it going. Keep it going. They want to say something.
I just want
I
to,
thought it would be nice to have the mother say something if, or the student if they wanted to say something at this time.
I want to thank you all, on behalf of your training, of your wonderful staff, for everything that you guys have done for my family, even the last couple of years that we have been in Riverview. And, when Mr. Dickerson called me, at first I thought she choked somebody, I'm not gonna lie. Cause he said there was a choking incident. I'm like, oh Lord, who made her bad today, y'all? She a little feisty. But when he explained what happened, I'm a concerned mom. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, thank you. Like, I couldn't imagine if like no one would have been trained to even, save her. This is my little baby. And as spicy as she is, she loves having people that has her back. And, Riverview has been a wonderful family, and we, spend many years in Riverview. I just bought a house down the street, y'all. We're gonna spend many years in Riverview. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will move to item number 5, which are announcements.
The Riverview Gardens Special Administrative School Board has adopted the following norms. We are a cohesive team who pause to hear all voices after someone speaks, consider all opinions, assume positive intentions. We celebrate collective agreement, collective voices to reach decisions, honor and respect the work of the board, honoring and supporting the board decision at all times. Board members are prepared for meetings. They review the packet and submit questions within the established time frame. Members of the board arrive 5 minutes prior to the start of the meetings. Administration sends board packets to the special administrative board within the identified time frame. The special administrative board does not allow outside entities to dictate board actions. The special administrative board decisions will be made based on facts, not individual opinions or requests. We educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocols for voicing concerns, policy KC, community engagement.
Those are our board norms that all of the board members contributed to. And if you look to this side of the room, and then seated behind us as well, you will see our board norms. So you'll probably be reading these off at each meeting and to help us to continue to remember them and do them as board members. Are there any additional announcements, Lane?
I'd like to announce on November 8th, last Tuesday, I had the opportunity, the pleasure to attend the Parents as Teachers Day celebration at Michelle Obama Academic Center. It was such a educational and heartwarming occasion that I think that we should pay some more attention, if we can, to this worthy committee project, part of our school district. Parents as Teachers is very, very a nice occasion. And thank you so much, Ms. Sonia, for the invitation.
Any additional board member?
Madam President.
Oh, okay. Yes, Dr. Elliott.
Okay. Yes, this is American Education Week. All week long is the celebration. And so on tomorrow, the Urban League.
Dr. Yvonne Elliott, I think he's going to try to give you just a little bit more volume.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me better? Can you hear me? Testing. Testing. Testing.
I don't like we can hear you a little bit.
You can hear me a little bit better?
Yeah, can you all hear her? Some people are saying. Okay.
Testing.
There we
Testing.
go.
All right. This is American Education Week. And so Iota Phi Lambda Business Sorority is hosting some events in collaboration with other organizations. So on tomorrow, Urban League will have pathways to wealth management and home ownership for educators. So that's going to be at from 6 to 7:30, and they're going to be offering like gift cards and prizes for the educators who attend. And then on the 16th, there will be AI tips for educators, artificial intelligence. That'll be virtual as well from 7 to 8. And then there's a networking event from 7 to 11 at Gary's Fine Dining behind Fox. So if you want to get that information and register or show up to attend, just go to Iota Alpha Zeta Facebook page, and then the educators will have more information about joining those activities for this week. So happy American Education Week to all the educators. And then our celebration is Saturday for the Apple of the Teacher with all of our honorees from Riverview Gardens.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
At this time, we'll now turn to section 6 on our agenda, which is the
Good evening, everyone. I have a lot to report on tonight. As you know, last year in the 22-23 school system, the board approved the first ever student representatives to the board. And so those 2 individuals graduated. Tonight, the board will vote on 2 new student reps. They are here to be introduced tonight. So welcome, if you will, Paris French, who is a senior, and Micah Long. Young ladies will be joining us as our representatives to the school board. And I'm just going to say, if you get a chance to watch their video interviews, they are truly impressive. So welcome. The board will approve your positions later tonight, but if you wanted to just say a few words, please do so.
My God, kind of high. So yeah, good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, and community. So my name is Micah Long, and I am a senior at the high school. And first of all, I'm so excited to be here tonight. This is my first time at a board meeting, and I feel like the energy in this room is very empowering, and I feel like we're all here because we're dedicated to educating scholars, and we're dedicated to educating ourselves as well. So a little bit about me is I've been in this district since I was in 8th grade, so I'm a little recent than Paris here. But through my time here, I've grown. Honestly, I feel like I've grown in this community, and along with me being such a good academic scholar, I really do want to be involved in my community and within my school as well, which is why I'm on my school's dance team. I'm on the newspaper. I'm participating in DECA. And so it's really important for me to understand how board meetings go in order to complete my job complete my role as being a student ambassador, which helps not only my school, but helps the board meeting understand what will really benefit our students. So thank you so much for considering me in the first place, and I'm so honored to be here tonight.
Okay. Good evening, all. Okay. Good evening, all. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, and community. My name is Paris French, and I attend Riverview Gardens as a proud senior. I'm involved in clubs such as National Honor Society, Student Council, Book Club, Cheerleading, and Journalism, where I work as a page editor. I plan to pursue a degree at Syracuse University as a forensic science major for the 2024 fall term. And I'm looking forward to working with you all and making positive change for the view.
Right.
I don't know how to follow that. My other announcement, as you know, beginning July 1, our Special Administrative Board will transition to a full elected board, and it will become the Riverview Garden School District Board of Education. It will no longer be the Special Administrative Board. Also, there will be 2 seats that are open. Opening for filing for candidacy begins at 8 a.m. on December 5th and closes at 5 p.m. on December 26th. Anyone interested in applying to be a candidate should do so at the Board of Election Commissions. We as a district will be hosting a board candidates training shortly after the candidates are announced. Our tentative date for that training is January the 16th, 2024. Oh, that sounds like going. Also, one of the things that the board committed to in their board goals was to do 4 town halls, 1 per quarter. And so while we missed the first quarter, we're in catch-up mode, and we've identified December 14th at 6 o'clock for our first town hall. We will go through the CSIP. If our APR information has been released by DESI, we will go through that as well. Also next week is Thanksgiving week. We are open Monday and Tuesday. I am stressing that because the previous 2 years, the district was closed with regards to COVID. What we did this year instead is we gave a fall break day, which I believe was a week ago, and we have a spring wellness day in April. Those are the 2 days that you will not get during Thanksgiving week. And I'm stressing that because a lot of people got accustomed to that. And so for those who are listening, school will be open Monday and Tuesday. A letter is going out to our staff, reminding them of our policy as well, that you are not supposed to take a personal day or vacation day before or after a holiday. Don't kill me, the messenger is in the policy. Also, I just want to take a moment to thank one of our board members, Pastor Horsley. As you know, we have had some ups and downs at the high school this year. And on Saturday, I think I got a text like at 7:30 in the morning saying that Pastor Horsley has sent out the word for people to come join in what's called a prayer walk. And I will tell you, people came out. I just thought it'd be a couple of us. It was a nice handful from his congregation, from the high school staff, central services staff, and we walked and we prayed around the high school, just praying for strength, praying for educational excellence, praying for our scholars to not be angry and to think about the future and what that holds for them. And so I just want to thank you for sponsoring that, and the turnout was amazing. That concludes my announcement. Okay, we're ready for our first item, which is an item for information. As you know, when the board approved on August 8th, the CSIP, one of our commitments was to come back and do quarterly updates. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Nichols, Dr. Patton, and Dr. Singleton and Ms. Sharp to present our first update on the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, otherwise known as the CSIP.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams and colleagues. It is a state expectation that districts provide an update to school board members regarding the status of the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. The purpose of the plan is to ensure that the district's instructional program and support services are meeting the needs of all of the students.
Next slide.
Yes. During the comprehensive school improvement process, several priorities were identified in the areas of student performance, collaborative culture, staffing and workforce, college and career readiness, and attendance. In addition, the district created a new mission and vision statement for the district. This evening, the two management oversight leaders will provide a quarter update for Q1 for collaborative culture and attendance. At this time, Dr. Patton will come forward to provide an update for collaborative culture.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. I do want to say before I start this that I was Etoya White or Etoya Dickerson. I ran into him last year at the middle school and he was going to take another job and I convinced him to stay. And it just gives me pause to know what would have happened if he was not there. And so I am so grateful that he was there for that family. I also want to say that these two young ladies behind us, that's the story that we need to tell about Riverview Gardens. These two babies, they got up here, they are educated, they are prepared, they are enjoying their experience at the high school. Story that we need to start telling and stop letting other people tell this story about Riverview Gardens. We are more than a couple of fights that we have. We have dedicated scholars, teachers, people in this district who's been here and believes in this school district. and they made me teary-eyed, so I needed a tissue. So anyway, I just wanted to say that it was sitting here and I just had to get it out. Now I will go on with the CSIP. My committee was responsible, the Collaborative Cultures Committee is responsible for helping to provide a safe and caring environment for our students, staff members, and our parents. We created 2 SMART goals. Can you go to the next slide, please? There are 2 SMART goals that we created. One was the school community would improve by 10% as measured by surveys that we did last year compared to surveys that we did this year. The second SMART goal was to reduce the number of office referrals of our students and to reduce the number of suspension days. The first strategy to meet those goals were to determine a method to gather information from our parents, our students, and our employees. To that end, we have 3 action steps that are listed. One was to develop surveys that we would send out to those 3 categories: students, parents, and employees. The other was to work with those, when we get the results of those surveys, back to work to develop action steps based on those surveys. And then the third one was to survey our school and our community to address the results, or I'm sorry, to use the survey results to address action steps. So if you look ahead, you will see that the quarterly update is that we did complete the surveys. They were completed and sent out to everyone on October the 16th for a deadline to reply or to respond to the survey by October 31st. In November this month, we will review the results of those surveys and then develop action steps, and then we will share those surveys with the public. If you look, you will see the evidence. If you can click on any one of those to see the evidence of our work. And also you will see that the results of the surveys will be shared with the SAB. It will also be shared during town hall meetings, in our newsletters, website, social media, and also on our podcast. Strategy 2, the next slide, please. Strategy 2 was to improve the climate and culture from the central services level. So in this building, what are we doing? We said that we would hold 4 interactive activities throughout the year. We typically do. We've already had the back to school bash. We've held the convocation. We will hold the end of the year celebration. And we are actively right now putting together a bowling event for all of the employees of our district. Action step 2 was to meet 3 times a year. We've already met 3 times this year. We will meet in December, and then we will meet 2 to 3 times in the second semester. The reason for the meeting is to develop more ideas that we can use to bring together our staff members within our district. Action step number 3 was to solicit district partners to help us pay for those things. And so we have reached out to several district partners, and we will get some of these things paid for, as well as having them join us. We have several partners, MOUs with different organizations who feed into our district, and we will ask them to join us as well. Strategy 4 was to review the budget source for funding. We do have an established budget source to use for incentives. Those incentives are under the social work and counselor category, and we will be using that money to buy things to improve our attendance, to build in incentives for our students. And then number 4, I will let Barbara Sharp come up and talk about their Reimagining Middle School. And I must say, in my excitement, Ishmael was actually supposed to present strategy 1. My apologies, Ishmael.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Superintendent Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. My portion is to simply talk about reimagining middle schools. Near the close of the past school year, our superintendent, the district leadership team began to engage in some discussion and looking at various data sources. As we engaged in that process, one of the things that became clear was a charge that came from Superintendent Pruitt-Adams, and that was to look at reimagining middle schools. So thus began this new committee, if you will. So the task was to look at research-based methods and to make some recommendations that were research-based and that would engage a variety of stakeholders. So you have a document in your presence that there is a link there, and you'll see in the link some different things that we are looking at. We're looking at the instructional focus for each school. While we have an instructional focus for the district, what would make each one of our middle schools unique? So that would cause us to look at programming as well. We're looking at the structure. Structure may include looking at maybe perhaps the sixth grade center itself, or perhaps looking at the way the middle school program is just aligned just in general. So that's something that we're examining. Looking at various tiers, multiple tiers, systems of support, looking at student engagement strategies such as peer mediation, PBIS, et cetera. And then finally, looking at a smoother transition from elementary school to middle school and from middle school to high school. We have had one meeting at this point. We have spent time engaged in research, looking at some best practices, because that is a change, a trend that is happening across the country. And then I am scheduled to meet with principals to get some more feedback, because we do have a new principal that just joined us on the middle school level. Based upon that discussion, then we'll branch back out again and begin to work as committees. This is hard work, and it's my pleasure. I'll turn it over to Dr. Patton.
I offered Ishmael the next one and he definitively said no. So strategy number 3 was to improve the climate and culture at the building levels. We said that the action steps would be that we would create PTOs in all of our schools. 9 of our 13 schools have confirmed that PTOs are in progress. We are working with our family engagement specialists to implement a new parent ambassador program. And to date, we have 9 parents who have been selected to actively work at the building level to build effective PTOs and to work with our building principals. Action step number 2 was the PTOs. Once they are established, they will hold monthly or quarterly meetings to develop ideas for fundraising and for student activities. We also said that we would utilize restorative practices and restorative classrooms to keep our students at school. As you already know, we have 9 restorative rooms throughout our district at the secondary level. There are 3 in each building, and we are utilizing that environment to keep our students in school as an alternative to suspension, providing them with training on conflict resolution and working out issues verbally, as opposed to turning into fights that will end up getting them suspended. Action step number 4 was to identify topics of interest from our parents. And at all of our PAC meetings, we have a QR code, which allows parents to click on it and share their ideas of what they want to see in their school district. The PTOs will host at least one family engagement activity per quarter once they are established. But in the meantime, building principals are doing that, and they have held several activities in their buildings to date. We would have 3 to 5 community partners to participate in our events. We are working on that as we speak to have a district-wide community engagement activity that will bring out a lot of our partners that offer resources to our families. And then we said we would host 2 parent universities. We've already hosted about 3 or 4 parent universities on domestic violence, improving your credit, first-time home buyers. We are doing many things to support our community. And then the last strategy under collaborative culture was to provide a district-wide pyramid of behavior interventions. And we have hired an MTSS coordinator who is working within our district to put a pyramid of interventions together for our students in the areas of behavior as well as academics. All schools will adhere to the district policy related to student suspension. That will be shared with our building principals. They are already aware, but we will go over it at our next principals meeting. Action step number 2 said that we would revise the disciplinary handbook and the student handbook Historically, we've had that in one handbook. Now we have two handbooks. One is specifically for disciplinary, and the other one is informational for parents and students. And that will come to you tonight for approval or for consideration. Implement timely and ongoing incentives for students who are meeting expectation. As I said, we have a budget in place that will help us purchase incentives to get our students in school and to keep them in school. We said we would establish district level and school social emotional collaborative teams using the PLC model. We are currently working on that. Every school has a social emotional team working to get a social emotional team in place. Number 5, we said we would increase the extracurricular activities, which we actually started to do last year. We changed one of our policies to allow our classified staff to be the leader of some of those after-school activities. And then lastly, we said we would have each of our elementary schools will begin the process of having morning meeting every day at their schools. This allows them to build that school community and to touch their students every single day with positive interactions. That is the part of collaborative cultures. Dr. Singleton will present the part on attendance. I'll come back at the end and ask for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Patton. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, community, and students. Just as important as the collaborative cultures piece, we believe attendance is extremely important. As we know, a lot of our funding is tied to attendance. And so I'm very proud to take leadership for this strand or this piece of the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. We've developed some strategies and some tiered interventions that will bring you up to speed on. The SMART goal is to increase our proportional attendance, which is that 90-90 attendance. And we want to make sure that everyone is clear. DESE has established a mandate for our attendance, and it says that 90% of the students must be in attendance 90% of the time, okay? That is the mandate for proportional attendance. 90% of the students being in attendance 90% of the time. And so we want to increase that, okay, on an annual basis by at least 20%. Now, it seems lofty, but we're going to put some things in place in order to achieve that. You must know that we ended last school year, the 22-23 school year, with our being at around 38%, okay? And so right now, as of the end of October, our proportional attendance is right at about 50%. And so we're slowly building our capacity to improve our attendance. We're putting some things in place, but certainly we're going to do all we can to make sure that our scholars are here, because if they're not here, then they're not getting the resources that we have to offer. So a tier 1 intervention, and there are several of these action steps that we've created. First of all, we're going to establish district level and school attendance collaborative teams using the PLC model to analyze data, plan interventions, and adjust strategies for effectiveness. We had a district-wide meeting about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago. We had it at Westview, I think it was in September. And it was a very successful meeting. We brought all of the stakeholders together. And we're happy to report that all schools have reestablished attendance task force, okay? So that means that task force includes the principal, your home to school coordinators, your attendance secretaries who, thanks to the board, we made those individuals 12-month employees now. They receive benefits as well. And so we're happy to report out that all schools have reestablished attendance task force. The second piece here, we're going to make sure that there are clear policies and procedures that align with the practices of district-wide related to attendance reporting for parents, guardians, teachers, and attendance secretaries. We have shared our attendance policies and procedures with parents and guardians. Messages have gone home, and this information has even been added to the parent portal. The information has also been shared with the school level task force teams. And so again, it tells us the evidence is there. You can click on those hyperlinks and it will share with you. But our attendance policies is very clear. What we do after 3 unexcused absences. What do we do after 5 unexcused absences? After 8, after 10? Our attendance policy is very clear, telling us what we need to do in order to intervene when we get to those levels of absences. Also, collaboratively revise and or create as needed uniform attendance reporting documents. We're trying to uniform, if you will, provide some uniform reporting across our district. And so we have created documents that all schools are using so that we're talking the same language. Our step letters are uniform. Again, and a step letter is at each phase of the absence, at the 3 days, at the 5 days, after the 8 days. We have step letters that we're sending out to our families, making them aware of the attendance policies and procedures as well. Also, we're doing robocalls, attendance robocalls, personal attendance calls as well. Home visits. We have home to school coordinators, and that's part of their responsibilities is to go out to the homes and visit our scholars and our families when they are not in attendance. Attendance contracts. We did this back a little while ago, and we're going to reinstitute the attendance contracts where not only the students, the schools, the teachers, the home to school coordinators, the secretary, the parents as well. Everybody has to come together and agree to these interventions and resources that we have available. And so we're excited about bringing back those attendance contracts. And we've held various parent meetings as well to address attendance issues. Incentives. We know that people usually do better when you incentivize them. And so we've been very liberal, as Dr. Patton mentioned, with providing budgetary and monetary amounts so that we can offer incentives to our families to make sure that they're coming to school and doing the right things. Provide ongoing district and school communication regarding student attendance. We've put this information out all over the place. It's in the inside view, the 5 things you need to know. We've done podcasts regarding these. We're trying to incentivize them with extracurriculars. Dr. Patton mentioned those, different sporting programs. We've given each school the latitude to create sporting programs or programs of interest to their scholars so that we can make sure that our students are coming to school and they're engaged. So that covers the action step number 6. And also, again, as I mentioned, the attendance contracts, the attendance expectations that we've outlined are extremely important. And we've reinstated those, and we're going to make sure that everyone has some buy-in related to the attendance contracts. Next slide, please. So our tier 2 interventions, and the interventions are tiered. So at tier 1 is not as severe. Okay, tier 2, you need more intervention, and then also tier 3 is the most support that's needed. And so under tier 2, we're talking about creating attendance support plans and goals for students who drop below the 90%. Okay, we need to have individual plans for those students and goals as well. Okay, and so those things are in progress. We're developing those as we speak. Also develop a district-wide bank of resources for parent referrals and support to address factors affecting attendance. We just got information today that we're going to do the ribbon cutting finally on our school-based health center. That was a concern that we hear from our families, is that kids are staying at home at the start of the school year because they don't have physicals, okay? And so any way that we can address and eliminate those barriers, we're going to do those things. Sometimes transportation is a concern. And we've made it very clear to First Student that if we need to pick up students who live within a mile range, then we do that. And we get those requests from the school all the time. And so we're certainly reaching out, making those things happen as well, eliminating those barriers that may prevent a student or a scholar from attending school. And again, conducting individual parent meetings. We have to have parent buy-in, okay? Parents have to believe in what we're doing. And when students drop below that 90%, we definitely have to get the families involved to make sure that our scholars are successful. In the Tier 3 action steps, again, we talked about those attendance contracts for students who demonstrate chronic absenteeism. That's been reestablished to address those, and also establishing clear system of communication with local law enforcement, community organizations, mentoring programs, social services. We have a ton of MOUs. We bring them to you at every board meeting. We've got MOUs with St. Louis County, the Little Bit Foundation. Very excited that we now have two facilities or two markets, if you will, in our schools that Little Bit is responsible for. We attended the ribbon cutting at Coke about 2 weeks ago, and we have one at Highland as well to address the needs of our scholars. And so those markets are being utilized very well, very positively, and we're happy to report on those. As well, we've got partnerships with Soul Fishers and so many other agencies out here that are helping us to improve our attendance. And so as we bring this to a conclusion, we're just excited that these are just two pieces of the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. Collaborative cultures, Dr. Patton and her team are working extremely hard. Kudos to the attendance team. It's not only myself, but Tina Adams Turnipseed plays a huge role in what we're doing. We've stolen some others from other teams as well. So we're stealing folks from the climate and culture team. But if you notice, all of our work is aligned and we all are doing similar work. And so Mrs. Tejian and Deidre Liddell and those same people that are on some of the other teams are very instrumental in helping us do what we need to do related to improving or making sure that we have a comprehensive school improvement plan in place. So I think I'm supposed to wrap it up. I think I just did. And so I will ask Dr. Patton and Mrs. Sharp if they will come back up. And if you all have any questions for us, we'll try to answer them at this time. Dr. Nichols, you come up here too.
First of all, thank you all for all of the work thank you for all of your work. This is quite overwhelming and still in the learning stage on some things. I'm looking at all of the parent organizational kinds of programs, PTO, family engagement specialist, parent ambassador program, parent advisory councils. Are those different groups of parents who are engaged in this project?
So the Parent Advisory Council is just a group of parents. It could be any one of our parents. We have Parent Advisory Council meetings, so that's hosted by our family engagement specialist, and we invite our community in to ask questions, to participate in the meetings, to participate in any training that we have. So the Parent Advisory Council is more of like a PTO. And so it's just meetings that we have that we invite our community into, and we call it the Parent Advisory Council. Any parent that walks into the room is part of the Parent Advisory Council.
Okay.
Family engagement specialist is Tiara Armin. I think this is her 3rd year within our district, and she's responsible for organizing the Parent Advisory Council meetings. So that's a different place, and that's a different person. And you asked me about one more, Ms. Lane.
Ambassador.
Yeah, parent ambassador. So we put out, it was a job description for parents who would volunteer to lead building the PTOs in all of our schools. So we had parents apply. They were actually interviewed by the Parent Advisory by the family engagement specialist, as well as the building principal. And then they were selected to be the leader of the PTO for each of our schools. So there's one from each building. So far, we have 9 parents who have volunteered to lead the task within their respective schools.
Okay. So I want to know, how can are we including parents as teachers in all of this?
Specifically parents as
Yes.
teachers. I can't tell you quite honestly, Ms. Lane, that we specifically reached out to parents as teachers, but they're always welcome to be a part of it.
Oh,
Nobody,
we know
yeah.
that.
But we
Everybody
haven't
knows that, but
specifically reached out to parents as teachers.
I think we should.
Okay.
And also, last point, President, I speak to my neighbors often,
Mhm.
and we talk about this. They ask me questions that I, of course, don't know all the answers to, don't know hardly any of them. But you hear about when I was in school, if we didn't come to school, we had the truant officer to come to the house. And it seemed, I'm listening to your program, it's very comprehensive, but you got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and it seems like finally in tier 3, that's it appears that that's the last intervention that we want to do. It's hard that we even have to do that. I know we can pontificate about it all night, doesn't matter. But at what point do we say, okay, we have the truant officers to come? And one thing that one citizen said to me seemed simple to me. We have 11 schools. If we had 2 parents per school who were dedicated, just, I'm going to attend a board meeting once, I'll be at the first meeting of the month, you be at the second meeting at the month, or what have you. You've got 11 schools. If we get 2 parents per school, that's 22 parents that we think that we could get engaged in trying to help encourage our neighbors to send their children to school. That oversimplifying thing.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, especially related to truant officers going out to the home. That doesn't just occur at tier 3, that occurs at tier 1. Remember, our building task force are meeting constantly. They meet on a weekly basis, okay? And if there are students who fall into those categories, once you hit the 3-day of unexcused absences, then there are interventions that are put in place. There's a team. Your name comes up in this team. We talk about strategies and interventions to get you to school. And so those home to school coordinators are going out as soon as those 3 unexcused absences hit. We're not waiting until they're chronically absent or truant in order to address those concerns. And so there's a team of people, a team of interventions that are happening from day 1. Okay. And so I hope that answers your question. There may have been another piece of that as well.
Well, are you seeing some success? Like after that happens, are our parents sending our children to school?
Yeah. So our numbers are increasing, Ms. Lane. But to be quite honest, we'd like to see them a heck of a lot better than where they are. Okay. So I think the interventions are working. I think we're seeing positive results. Certainly, do we want to see more? Absolutely. Do we want to see them at a much bigger magnitude? Absolutely, we do. But we're going to brag on the small things right now until we're able to achieve those real massive results.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment that I'm happy to hear that this is coming back. Not that it's the same as when the district, but just about everything you said. I was sitting here and I was reminiscent of how I actually got my start working with the district, and it was just as a concerned parent and the masters, and became a building representative to superintendent, and then a building representative to Pat. So, and as a result of having that's how we formed to build the district-wide PAC. So I'm happy to see that those initiatives are going to be kind of reinforced again and started again. And they really did make a difference getting parents out. I know there was a teacher, she'll always be one of my favorites here. Her name is Shanice Warrington. I don't know if anybody's. Shanice Warrington was that's one of the district loop. She got me involved in reading programs and things like that. And then we even had some people, Harlan Patterson and some other people, Lorinda Hutt, like that. And not just workers in the district, but parents within the district too. So don't forget to tap into those individuals that are workers of the district but also patrons of the district as well, because it really made a difference.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will add as they sit down, we have our next steering committee this Thursday from 5:30 to 7 at the Riverview Gardens High School. Also on each subcommittee and the steering committee, there is student voice, parent voice, stakeholder voice, and teacher voice. Our next item is the program evaluation for the ACE Alternative Learning Program. This item is in compliance with CSIP's attendance and student performance. Making this presentation is Dr. Jared Smith, Director of the Alternative Ed Program.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues and community. I stand before you to present the program evaluation for the ACE Alternative Learning Program. And I'm a student of the 5 B's, be brief, brother, be brief. And so I'm trying to abide by that this evening. So just to start off, just looking at the changes that have been made since the last evaluation. So we used to operate out of 3 separate centers positioned throughout the district. One on Chambers and Bell Fountain, one on Lewis and Clark, and then one on West Florissant. And so what we've started doing in our attempt to start to integrate the program more into the actual school district was we did away with those 3 centers, and we brought everybody into the FCRC, which is where we operate out of today. And it's going really well, a lot better than we thought initially that it would. And so that was probably the biggest change that we have made thus far. Next slide, please. So our goals and our objectives are to support the school district with helping offering students a pathway to graduation, as well as a pathway to credit recovery. We strive to assist the school district in receiving those points for the graduation rate and attendance, as well as for the college and career readiness piece, by making sure all of our students take the ASVAB and ACT and the work keys and all of those college and career readiness tests. Our main goal, one of our main goals, is to reduce the dropout rate. You can go back, is to reduce the dropout rate by providing scholars the opportunity to continue their education in a smaller alternative setting, improve academic performance through course completion, increase the graduation rate, and like I said, assist in getting those points by, and also helping the students to achieve their goals by taking those different tests. Next slide. So our tools and criteria for evaluation are first and foremost the number of students that we graduate, the number of 12th graders that we graduate out of the program with either a Riverview Gardens diploma or an ACE diploma. But broken down even further into that are the number of courses that our students complete, their average daily attendance, and the improvement in behavior for our scholars. We have a written process for regularly evaluating scholars' progress and performance, including their readiness to return to their home school. We meet with counselors, administrators, and teachers, social workers, SSD, everybody we need to do a comprehensive review of scholars' educational performance. And we conduct monthly data meetings to make sure that we're on target for our goals, and if not, then to see what we need to do to realign those goals. And just real quick, I know we like to use data a lot for, to measure our success, but when you're in the people business, like we are, data doesn't always tell the whole story. So, when we have students who dropped out and then they decided to come back and we're able to help them get their diploma, when we have students who, were overstimulated at the high school, and so they were having a lot of behavior issues, and now they're just very regulated and they're starting to enjoy school. When we have students who maybe had start in 3 years at the high school on credits, but now they're at ACE and they're starting to see some successes and they're actually enjoying school. Those are the pieces that don't always show up when you look at the numbers. But those are things that we're very, very proud of. The success of our program, last year, we had 308 students enrolled, 200 that, and when I say enrolled, because we have capacity for 225, but students don't stay all year. So throughout the course of the year, we had 308 students. We had 268 high school students and 40 middle school students. Our students completed 2,971 courses. That's a lot of classes. It's a lot of classes. So, they were definitely putting in the work. We had 51 graduates last year. We had at our May graduation, we had 31 that graduated with ACE diplomas, 10 that graduated with Riverview diplomas, and on our summer school summer graduation, we had 6 that graduated with ACE diplomas and 4 that graduated with Riverview diplomas. Our attendance for last year was 60%, and our summer school attendance was 80%. Some of the things, a lot of the things that Dr. Singleton alluded to that's in the CSIP plan for attendance are things that we also do to help our students to get that attendance up. We do home visits, we do incentives. For severe cases of truancy and absenteeism, we will do a truancy hotline on a parent if we need to make sure those kids are coming to school. We work with our social workers and they conduct job and social skills with our students. Our students just went to what's called the What's Next Fair, which is sponsored by Little Bit. It's a college and career fair. We host a college and career fair each year. We have various people. We have somebody from Trio coming in next week. We have various people from various trades, colleges that come in, speak to the kids, and really try to get them to see life beyond high school. So opportunities and next steps is we're working hard to identify students before school starts, especially 5th graders and 8th graders who are in danger of retention or have very extensive discipline histories that may benefit from starting at ACE and then transitioning to their home school. One of the things that we're very, very excited about is we now have a full-time in-house therapist at ACE who's stationed at ACE, and she works with ACE students only. And so we're very, very, very excited about that. I think that'll really help us go a long way in helping these students and getting them back to their home schools with the tools to be successful. That's the most important part. We want them to be successful because we don't want them to come back unless they want to. Middle school students that we have working to make sure they get a full day of instruction with character, education, conflict resolution, and social skills built in. Create more opportunities for students to explore post-secondary options. That's what I talked about with the career fairs and things. The pictures that are up there are from one of our college and career fairs. Positioning the program to be more therapeutic in nature with the addition of counselors and social emotional wellness staff. And then ultimately, our ultimate goal is to bring the program fully in-house under Riverview Gardens. I believe when the district first outsourced the alternative education program, there was a need to do that for many reasons. But I think as we have progressed throughout the years, we don't need that anymore. I think now we're in a position and at a place where we need to bring this program 100% in-house, 100% under Riverview Garden School District control. That is the end of my presentation. I will take any questions.
I have a question. So again, thank you for all that you do. I know it's difficult, challenging. Before you have this therapist now, you didn't have a therapist at the facility?
We didn't have, well, no, we didn't have a full-time in-house therapist at the facility. No. No, this is a first. We're happy.
Okay, we're happy about that. But the first bullet point under opportunities and next steps.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and I submitted the question, if any, so you know, I think we submit them. I don't know if they're anonymous or not, but I ask, how do you identify a child being and the only way I can say it is a probable candidate for ACE in the 5th grade or the 8th grade? Is it because of their chronic behavior and so you propose that before they even go to middle school, if we see this behavior, then we suggest, wow, you come here and your program will help improve their behavior so they can go to the regular. I don't know, it's regular middle school and the
Traditional.
regular.
We say traditional. Yeah.
I'll say it that way. The traditional middle school and the
Right.
traditional. But see, that's also part of the challenge. You all got a marketing challenge
We
here.
definitely do.
And so,
We definitely do.
Because again, community, they're saying they don't even know about ACE. They just, lots of folks don't. So, but is that what you're saying? Is that you want to present the students before they get real bad?
That is our ultimate goal as far as admission into ACE is to and you said it exactly right. We look at those students, like I said, who 5th graders and 8th graders who may be retained for academic reasons or have like you say, chronic, extensive discipline issues. You know, we don't want to set those students up for failure because of course going from elementary to middle school is a big jump. Going from middle school to high school is a bigger jump. And we don't want to set those students up for failure. So especially now, I cannot reiterate, by having this in-house therapist, if that particular student, I'm thinking of a particular student in mind that I have a 6th grader now who went to Meadows in the 5th grade and just wasn't working at all. And so now she's with me as a 6th grader, and in January she'll be able to transition to Central, and she'll have the tools that she needs in order to deal with conflict, in order to deal with anger, in order to deal with a lot of the issues that kids deal with in middle school without resorting to fighting, pulling weapons, those sorts of things. So that's what we strive to do. It's not a perfect science yet, but we're getting there.
What are we doing to increase the number of, you already know, the number of graduates that receive we'll increase that number a little bit. I'm 8.
The mic.
Oh, what are we doing to increase the number of students who that attend the ACE program but receive Riverview Garden diplomas with the 24 credit hours to graduate?
So what we've done this year is every student starts off on Riverview diploma track. We don't even give them the option for the ACE diploma starting off. And so, as a matter of fact, right now, last week and this week, we're reviewing students' academic progress. We're reviewing their records to make that determination of, do they need to switch over? Can they continue? That sort of thing. So that's one thing. The second thing is we send out written communication to the parents, advising them of, okay, here are your options. We suggest the Riverview diploma. So we want to make sure all of our families know that, we're pushing a Riverview Gardens diploma. And then ultimately, as we transition the programs over to Riverview Gardens totally, we'll do away with that 18 credit hour diploma totally. So that won't even be an option at all.
Thank you.
No
Could you,
problem.
also share that when you did check with the State Department regarding the ACE diploma, that it does count towards our graduation rate?
Yes, it does count towards our graduation rate. Yes.
Dr. Yvonne Elliott?
Yes, I wanted to ask about your strategies and approach for the long-term suspensions, as far as how do you make sure that students do not engage with each other? How do you prepare them to transition back as far as conflict resolution, those types of things?
So just on a very base level, we don't put students who have had fights with each other in the same space at the same time. Right now, we are still operating 3 sessions, so we make sure those students are in different sessions and on opposite sides of the building. Those opposite sides of the building go out opposite doors, and this worked. We haven't had any real blow ups. We've had a couple issues, but we haven't had any real blow ups in that regard. And as far as preparing them to go back to their school, so we call it Earn Your Way Back. And once again, this is where that therapist is crucial, because she'll be doing group sessions on conflict resolution, on anger management, on social emotional wellness, those sorts of things, as well as individual sessions. What we found is that the majority of our students' issues, the root is not academic. The academic problems are a symptom, but the root is more internal, as far as social emotional wellness, living in trauma, those sorts of things. So that's what we're really trying to get at. Once again, so when they do go back, they go back with tools to be successful.
So do the children ever talk to each other that have engaged in an altercation for conflict resolution? Like, brother is apologizing, getting an understanding. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that
No,
piece.
we not there yet.
Okay.
we not there yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We'll get there, but we're not there just yet.
So my question has more or less to do with the financial aspects of ACE being brought in-house, and the staff that to explain what that process will look like. Is because I know that ACE had their own staff or what have you. Can you explain a little bit about what that process is like?
I would like to defer that question for a more private conversation, only because I know this is
okay.
public.
We can get you that information. We've had several conversations about the monetary impact, staffing concerns, and so forth.
I have no additional questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So, how are we going to incorporate? As done with jet. That is Would it be like totally into the district?
So it would be like that. It would, but a more, I guess, accurate example would be Rittner's Husky Academy, in which they have a building, and their building houses multiple alternative programs, but they're all under the Rittner School District umbrella. So what we would have is our program Missouri Options would be part of our program. That's for our students who take the HiSET test and they get a Riverview Gardens diploma. We would have our credit recovery students. We would have our long-term students who have long-term suspensions. So we would have various different programs, all specifically geared towards their student-specific needs, but it will all be under the Riverview Gardens banner.
Have issue?
So yes, and that's something that I didn't even mention. So in the past, we had a partnership with Job Corps, where students could go to ACE in the AM and then go to Job Corps in the PM, and they didn't have to live at Job Corps. And some of those rules were modified. And the goal was for students to be able to graduate with a high school diploma as well as certification or vocational training from Job Corps. Job Corps went through an upheaval. They were bought out, different things like that. So we lost that partnership. But I just met with one of the new people at Job Corps on yesterday. And so we're looking to reestablish that partnership.
Have you? That's like a program.
I had not, but I will, without a doubt. Yes, ma'am.
It's a lot of need out there for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And they get into going to college.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
They can't hear you all when you're in your microphone. And this is being streamed so people can hear it. And they're telling us they can't hear.
Okay.
Okay. Can they hear now?
Yes.
Would you have an automotive program? Back in the day, they had these things.
Right.
And we
in the
went to
school, industrial arts.
And
Yes,
we went
ma'am.
to school. When we got out of school, we got to go not out of school, out of certain classes. We went to our automotive class.
Right.
Because we were so interested, but we stayed in school.
Mm-hmm.
We went to our healthcare class. I mean, that would keep them interested in going to school and their goal, like graduating and what have you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you can place them into a hospital. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I guess it'd be just like Job Corps has to place them.
Right. Right. So starting off, I don't know if we would be able to do that starting off. I mean, if Dr.
So
walked out,
if I could interject,
give us the money.
If I could interject, we have multiple career pathways at our high school. And I know since I've been here, we've even talked about a construction pathway. Versus having, because the students at the alternative school are in and out, that's the goal. They come in and they come out. One of the best possible solutions would be sort of like we do with North County Tech. And so we have students who attend our high school in the morning, and then they go to North County Tech for a trade, cosmetology, fashion. We at the high school have a culinary arts program and so forth. So one of the things we possibly could do, if this is a career path that the student is going down, as it relates to their ICAP, yay, I got it right. As it relates to their ICAP, that could possibly be an extension course for them at our high school versus trying to create a total program at the alternative school, because the goal is that they come in We address whatever their behavioral, social, emotional, trauma, or academic needs are, and then they go back to the high school. And so that to me would be one of the things we could investigate. If that's the direction that the board wants us to go, is maybe part of my day, is here. And then once I get to a certain point and have met certain conditions, I can maybe take that class at the high school.
Dr. Pruitt-Adams, and would that be, I'm sorry, I'm talking
That's
to her.
Dr. Smith.
Would that be something that would be similar to like a work study program?
Yes.
Okay.
Except with work study, you get paid.
Right.
And so right now with our dual credit programs and our career pathways, which is part of a DESE MSIP 6 requirement, there's no pay to that. But one of the things the high school has done a good job at is establishing internships and things with other agencies where students do get paid.
I didn't get paid at work.
You know what I'm saying? They don't. I got paid in work.
I did too.
I didn't get paid. I got a job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That out. Our next item is brought by our board member, Dr. Ava Elliott. So I'm going to turn it over to her. It is about new board candidate session. Dr. Ava Elliott.
Yes, I talked with our board secretary earlier about my actual intent from the training that we received. We learned a lot about community engagement around understanding what the role of the board is to help them understand and pique their interest in actually becoming a board member. So my question and interest is around some type of virtual or in-person event where we talk to individuals who may have an interest so that they can learn more before it's time for them to file, so that they can kind of be prepared to do that or kind of make a decision around doing that. This last election, I left out of town the first week. I wasn't in town the first week of filing. No one had filed. I returned back home, filed. The three of us filed. No one else filed behind us. That is not good. We want quality individuals on the board. We have a 2-seat election, so it's good for us to have some type of session, not after they file, but to let them know what the job entails and just answer any questions about the role. So that is what I'm interested in, the board either collectively deciding that we would do. I can facilitate it. As an older person, we did it for the citizens who had an interest in becoming an older person. They could ask questions and find out more about what we do. So that's why I asked for it to be on the agenda for something that we approve versus it just being a conversation. So that was pretty much it.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Von Elliott regarding this?
That the Missouri School Board Association maybe already has place in a similar concept?
They do have a process. And quite a few people do. Plus does one and so forth. When we've done it before with Missouri School Boards Association, it was done once candidates had filed. So, and we sent specific invitations to those individuals. They may do one before, I'm just not aware of it. If that's something that the board desires, we could look into it.
When you say superintendent, they may do one, you mean Missouri?
But I say Missouri School Board.
Board
With
Association.
regards to Pastor Parsley's question, when Ed Plus does it, it's usually after candidates have filed as well.
I think that's the one I participated
You
with.
participated in the one we did collaboratively with Normandy. And then we did one last year as well.
And I did the Ed Plus too as well.
Yeah. So Reverend Horsley is after the candidates versus what the conference MSB A talked about us engaging individuals prior to them running, to help them build their confidence, their understanding, and so forth, in signing up. You know,
So what,
yeah.
what I was responding to was that we always plan one, or
Mhm.
once we know who the candidates are. That's
Right.
not to say that if the board wants to do one before, that's just open to people who are interested. We would just have to post it unless you know people who are interested, and we can send them a specific invitation. But other than that, it would just be open to the public.
Yes, that's the goal.
What is this is this on here for information.
Yeah, so I was told that if we wanted to vote on it, that it could be voted on even under informational. But like I said, it's something that I want to do regardless, but I thought that it would be great that we collectively do it so that people can ask questions about our experience, give our input, and kind of give them some guidance on what they need to do to facilitate their process.
I want to make sure I understand. These are, your target is
The
citizens who are interested in running for the school board.
Well,
Is that correct?
they may have thought about it, but want to know more information. So we wouldn't know if they're interested as far as planning to actually do it, but they may want to learn more about it before they decide to do it.
So as a citizen, I'm responding as a citizen,
Mhm.
just because I had no previous school board experience. I asked questions to people who did have school board experience I sought that information on my own. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding that the premise is to have citizens who may be interested and for the board to come together and give advice or
Answer
I'm trying
questions. Yes, answer questions, share information about our responsibilities, what they can expect, learn more about the process itself. So the information that Dr. Pruitt Adams went over earlier would be an example of what will be a part of that presentation. Where you go, the timeline, any other questions they may have about it.
I think, President, the sign update is fastly approaching.
Mhm.
We're in the middle of holiday season. I'm not sure that we will be able to reach an audience before the sign up date of which is December 5th, which is only like a few weeks from now. And after then, the potential candidate would have 3 weeks to seek information. If they are truly interested, I believe that should be their responsibility to try to gather that information. That's just my view, President.
I was also more in favor of waiting until candidates have been identified. I was just thinking about the time frame and the responsibilities that we have now with meetings coming up for the month of December and the rest of this month, and our time is getting away quickly. To me, it would be more advantageous to wait until those candidates have been identified rather than hold a meeting and not enough people show up to, I'll say, for lack of a better word, make it worth my time. So I think that it'd be advantageous to wait till those people come forward.
Mhm. Like I stated, it's no problem. I wanted to collectively get the board participation, but I do plan on hosting something regardless. But if we were doing something together, then they can ask individuals questions.
Okay, now you do understand though that if you're doing something under the realm of Riverview
No,
Gardens.
it'll be under the realm of Dr. Von Elliott, not under.
Just an
Riverview Gardens.
informational thing about elections, period.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. I just want to get that understanding.
I already know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So did we want to vote on this?
Yes.
Too close. I kind of feel kind of iffy on this situation because I do wish I had had more information before I ran, before I went down there, because I was kind of, like, hey, it's open and you need to go run. And like I told people, and I've been out here in this district for 22 years. I didn't even know y'all had a school board. I didn't even know y'all had meetings over here. And my kids went to the school, they went to the high schools. I was not informed. I was a working mother and I had a lot, I was at work more than I was at home. So I didn't know when they called me like, what do you mean school board? So information, knowledge, information is knowledge and it's power. And when I ran out there, I was like, okay, 23 people running, maybe somebody else gonna run. And when nobody else ran, I was like, oh my God, maybe what's going on? Why don't nobody want to run for the school board? Then when I got on the school board, I was like, oh my God. What did I do? I'm just being honest. I was like, what did I do? What did I sign up for? And I think that it's very imperative that we give people information, because once you are here, unless you're a quitter, your 3 years you're here. And you gotta make sure that you're here for the right reason. You gotta make sure that you are here for these kids. You gotta make sure that you're here for this community. And you gotta make sure that your voice is heard. I learned a lot of stuff at the school board meeting. The one thing is that, and I'm just saying this to the board, and I want it to be out, I want people to hear me not only say this, that as a school board, we need to be out here more in our community. We need to have liaisons at different schools. We need to be going into schools, let them know who we are, because they still don't know who we are. And that's sad, because how can we say we represent the kids in the community if they don't even know who we are? If we walk down the street or we at the store and they don't even know that we're even serving on the board. They say, oh, you on the school board? Yeah, I'm on the school board. Well, I didn't even know. And then people still come to me and say, well, hey, when do you all have a meeting? And I say, you know what? There's a website that you can go to. I tell them, hey, they have a website. I said, I was unknowledgeable about that too. I said, but now I know. Go to the website. And, even people I still tell, hey, come to the meetings, come to and have that your voice be heard. People feel like if they come, their voice is not going to be heard, so they don't waste their time coming. And I think for us to give information to people, to let them know what's going on and because when you get on the school board, once you're on here, you on here. I mean, it's just like it is, you're here. And you got to make sure that you're here for the right reason. Don't get on here thinking that you're going to be on here and you're just going to be a yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to everything. And it's going to be a personal thing, because some people get on here and that's what they're thinking. Some people get on here and they're not even here for the kids. They don't have any skin in the game, I'm going to tell you that. So they're just doing something. And this ain't that. This is serious. This school, these kids need us. These teachers need us. The administrators need us. And if we're going to be on the board, they have to know how serious this is. And you can't be playing games. You need to be at the board meetings. You need to go to the training. And a lot of people don't want to waste their time. I don't want to go to the training. It's a waste of time. Now, you need that training. You need that knowledge. You need that understanding of what's going on, because other than that, you're not serving the community, you're serving yourself. So I really understand what she's saying, that you got to get out there and you got to let people know what they're getting into, because once they get into it and they get in these boardrooms and it's a job. Some people say, I ain't getting paid for it, so I'm not going to do it. But your pay, don't worry about your pay here. You need to do what you need to do for those kids, because it may not be your child, but it's somebody child, or it's your grandchild, it's your great-great-grandchild. You got to make a stand now. So I agree with both that it should be something done before, because if I had knew, I probably would have thought a little different. But once I got in it and I realized that it ain't about me, it's about these babies. It's about this community. It's about our kids not being left behind. It's about somebody standing up for our community. That's why I tell people all the time, I don't do politics. I'm here for the babies. That's it. That's all. Thank you.
But I think that also along with that, we already know what our schedules are looking like. And so if we were going to host something to that as a board, I would say it would be, I wouldn't want it to be something that's real rush or whatever, where we would have time to have everybody come. So I don't necessarily disagree with it, and I wish you success if she's going to do that. I'm wishing you success that people will come out beforehand and get the information. And if there's anything that I can do to assist you in that, I am more than willing to do it. But I'm just looking at the calendar as it sits before us now to be realistic. You know, it would be really hard to try to squeeze something in like that with what we have before us to take care of now.
If I might,
Yes, Dr.
do with it what you will. There is a lot going on right now. In all honesty, you have a hearing next Monday. You've got town hall coming up. You've got your board tree workshop and so forth. My question to it's on the 5th. My question to Dr. Ava Elliott before I make my other statement, are you saying before the 5th or before the closing of filing?
Well, you know, the first day they normally do a lottery. So they're gonna file the first day. They need to know in advance to know am I going on the first day, be a part of their lottery. They need to know enough about what they're getting into.
Okay, so
I
I
was thinking virtually because that's where we can get the most participation is
Okay.
virtually.
So if you do it virtually and it's just open to the general public, I have some concerns with that, but that's just my 2 cents. Only because whatever Zoom link you're sending out, it doesn't have to be a personal Zoom link. You just there has to be a way of advertisement, which comes from communications, right? From our communications department. And then there has to be a way of people signing up and making sure that everybody signed in, that we look at the way technology goes. That would take our tech department to also do that. And I'm just gonna say it. And I mean no disrespect to anyone in this room. But if one person does it, the message that will send to this community is that our board is divided. I just need to say that, because they are now, when we started this journey as a 7-member group, you know some of the feedback that we got. We got feedback that people, as Ms. Jackson said, were on here for the wrong reason. We got feedback that people had their own agenda. We got feedback that people were taking information and sharing it publicly. You guys have really come together as a group with your governance sessions, with MSBA, with just making informed decisions as a collective group. In fact, in the MSIP response, there's the first question is about governance. And what we put in there is that while this board started out as a divisive board, you have come together with the focus of doing it for the kids. And if one person, and at the end of the day, I can't tell any of you what to do. I'm just thinking as the superintendent, giving you the advice that I think is in the best interest of our district, our community, and our scholars. That if you are going to do this, you decide to do it as a uniform group. If you don't, the speculation, and it doesn't have to come from anybody who's facilitating it, the speculation itself will cause people to say, see, they can't even come up with the same day to do it. I don't want to be involved in that. That's just mess. The intent is great. So I don't want anybody to think the intent is not great. But you said in one of your norms, it would be a collective decision. And what the board stood for, the board will stand for. You all can do what you want to do in your own private lives. I don't control that. I'm just giving you my advice right now as your superintendent.
So I think that we have Saturdays, we have to make time for the community and make sure that people are informed. We have young people who might be interested. All you have to be is 18 years old. You would think that they would come and ask questions about how to do it. Everybody have their own, I guess, boldness about themselves to say, oh, well, let me go and find out. But some people need a little nudge, because we have parents on the communication committee that will be good board members, but there may be hesitancy because of transportation, some other things that they may think is a barrier. But if we can provide information that will remove barriers, I think that that would be something that would be great for the community. And go ahead. I saw a hand. Go ahead.
President, are we going to, do we intend to adhere to the board norms that we all agreed on? Do we intend to do that? So if we intend to do that, number 2 says collective agreement. Either we all agree to do it or we don't do it. So is it appropriate now for me to pose a motion? Okay. So I don't even know how to say it. Does the special administrative board vote to,
Motion.
I'm sorry, I make a motion that the special administrative board will not be able to participate in.
Take it in the affirmative.
Affirmative. Right. It has to be in the affirmative. And then the vote determined.
Vote.
I make a motion that the special administrative board will continue with the meeting dates and commitments that we have until after December 5th.
Got a second,
that-
a second.
That appropriate?
Yeah, but I don't.
Let me
Wait a
ask
minute,
you.
wait a minute. So that we can understand what you're saying. So what you're trying to do is get us to vote as to whether or not we're going to do this. So the vote in the affirmative, that you motion. Secretary, would you state the motion to her? I don't want to state.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
So the agenda item asks that the board hold a new board member session. So the recommendation is that the special administrative board agree to hold a new board member
Candidate
session.
Okay,
Board candidate.
Take the motion.
okay. So I make
Vote,
a,
and then you vote how you.
I'm
Ma'am,
sorry. No, she did,
Dr.
if you're not ready for me to make the motion,
Dr. May has a question.
Question was with her motion, is she saying to hold that meeting before December 5th or after the election? Which one?
She,
I'm trying to,
the motion has to be tied to the item that's on the agenda.
on the agenda, and I did not look at that. I did not appear
Right.
that. I based my motion based on the conversation,
Okay, right.
and that's not the
Right.
Robert's rules way to do it.
Right.
So, new board candidate session. I make a motion that the board will, I
Hold a
can't
new-
say, will hold a new board
Candidate.
candidate session.
There a second. There a second.
What is a new board candidate?
That's the item that's on the agenda. New board candidate session.
All that the
Okay.
doctor may
Let me
just.
get, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was different than what, yeah, it's not
Get
the
a
same.
second. Then, I'll open it for questions.
Did I not ask the?
You made the right.
Get it right.
Okay.
I'm asking for a second to the motion. And the motion dies. There another discussion toward this item.
I do, with respect to the suggestion that's been made. I think that conceptually, the idea of helping candidates understand their obligations is a good idea. But I also am aware of the time constraints that we now have. it is it seems to me that it's possible that simply as part of the normal meeting, an informational item could be added for potential candidates. And so in that informational session, an informational item, have 5 or 10 minutes in which we overlay general board responsibilities and open it up for any questions that may have. So that's not overly time consuming, but if there are legitimately anybody that wants to be a board member, they have an opportunity to learn more about it.
Like this.
I don't know how to.
So,
I would make a motion that on our agenda would be include an item that would allow an informational session for the candidate.
second,
Make a motion. And second, that you
Dr.
said
May.
second, Miranda? Okay, second.
Yes.
I don't know if I can technically, as the superintendent, offer an agenda, is that he put the date in November 28th.
November 28th.
So that is specific that that's the
Oh,
board meeting you
okay, that's
wanted
when the
on.
board meeting. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So she's putting in, so are you seconding that, Amanda?
Yes, yes, so, I would like to, amend the motion to add, the date of 28th, the 28th board meeting date.
So first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna vote on the amended to add the date of the November 28th. Dr. Horsley, motion. I have out here. I'm making a motion to amend it to add the date of the 28th. Okay, got it down, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we are going to make the motion that we have informational moments or time frame added to our agenda to allow for persons interested in learning about the board. Will allow that time on our agenda.
Madam President, a point of information, I just added to his motion, so with it passing, it included his as well.
It includes his, okay, thank you.
Okay, yes.
I'm just trying to be careful.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so we've all agreed on that. Are there any other discussions regarding it?
Yes, I just want to make sure, superintendent communications that we actually publicize that as such. So then they would know that they can join, whether it's virtual or in person, to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you, and I'm glad that we could do some type
Thank
of
you.
resolution to that effect.
thank you so much.
Okay. So thank you. So we will now go
Items for discussion. Our first item is the MSBA full maintenance policy service agreement, and we will be asking also for approval later in tonight's meeting, not to exceed the cost of $4,156. It is basically our annual renewal of service. Okay. Are there any questions? Next item is item B, policy recommendations. Making this presentation is Ms. Jennifer Williams and Travis Ford, it says. This item, sorry, is a discussion item. And we will be asking for approval later in night.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. JPA, community and colleagues. I'm Jennifer Williams, and tonight I am presenting one policy, policy BBBA-1, which is board member qualifications. This policy recommendation was provided by the MSBA and has been presented to the Policy Review Committee. Currently, the Missouri Constitution requires all elected officials to have lived in Missouri for 1 year immediately preceding their election. The update to the policy will include or require school board candidates to have lived in the district for at least 1 year immediately preceding their election as well. It is recommended that this policy is adopted as presented by the MSBA. Any questions? Thank you.
The next item is the memorandums of understanding from Student Support Services. This item is in compliance with CSIP's Collaborative Climate and Culture. Making this presentation is Dr. Tanya Pat.
Good evening again, SAB members, Dr. Joyland, colleagues and community. Again, I bring before you memorandums of understanding from Lutheran Family and Children's Services, Youth in Need, Presbyterian Children's Home, Jewish Family Services, and Behavioral Health Response. These are MOUs, so these are free of charge, free 99, as people like to say. They will provide services to our students under social, emotional, mental health support. Are there any questions?
Thank you. The next item, also by Dr. Tanya Patton, is the presentation of positive zone contract for service.
So this is as Dr. Jolin has said, this is a contract for services. Positive Zone, we utilized their services last year at our elementary level to go in and do classroom presentations as well as assemblies with our students focused on building friendships, how to get along, conflict resolution. So I'm bringing this forward, this contract forward for approval to support our students. This will be paid for initially by Riverview Gardens, but with the disproportionality funding from Special School District, they will reimburse us for the cost. Are there any questions?
Thank you. The next item also presented by Dr. Patton is the student handbook 23-24.
So as I stated initially earlier, our student handbook and our discipline handbook used to be part of the same handbook. At the beginning, actually, I think it was maybe at mid last year, we decided so we brought the discipline handbook forward that has already been approved. So tonight I present to you the student handbook for the 2023-24 school year. And this really is a guide for our students and our families just on the life at Riverview Gardens within Riverview Gardens School District. It provides information related to start times, buses, our grading scale. We've added a lot more information in it just to give our students and our families a resource for questions they may have. Are there any questions related to our district student handbook? Thank you.
The next item is the staffing plan being presented by Travis Ford, Senior Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. Today I have before you the staffing plan adjustments. These staffing plan adjustments are in compliance with policy IHB class sizes, which is aligned with the DESE class size standards, indicating the maximum allotments as follows. Kindergarten through second grade, a maximum of 25 students. Third through fourth grade, 27 students, and fifth grade, 30 students. There are grade levels in our elementary schools that have enrollment that consists of attendance that is above or significantly below the DESE and policy standards. Lee Masters has enrollment and attendance for 2 first grade classrooms that are at 28 and 28. Koch has enrollment and attendance for 2 fourth grade classrooms that are at 29 and 29. Meadows has attendance for 2 fourth grade classrooms that are at 29, 29. And Lewis and Clark has attendance for 1 fourth grade classroom that is at 28. And it also has a first grade and a second grade classroom that is at capacity right now. Moline also has 2 kindergarten classrooms that are over, and they are at 30 and 31. Then there is one that is actually significantly lower, and it is Meadows. Meadows has 3 kindergarten classrooms that are at 13 students in each classroom. In compliance with the class size and aligned with DESE standards, the following adjustments to the staffing plan are recommended. It is recommended that we add 4 instructional assistants to the following elementary classes for the following elementary schools. Lee Masters adding a instructional assistant to support 2nd grade. I'm sorry, I can't really see my paper with the mic there. Coke adding an instructional assistant to support 4th grade. Meadows adding an instructional assistant to support 4th grade. And Lewis and Clark adding an instructional assistant to support 4th grade. And that person will also support 2nd and 1st grade as needed. Also, I'm recommending that we add 1 teacher to Moline to support those kindergarten classrooms and to remove 1 teacher from Meadows in those kindergarten classrooms. That teacher that we moved from Meadows in that kindergarten classroom will actually be reassigned to Moline to support those kindergarten classrooms that are overloaded. It is budgeted, and the budgetary impact for the 4 instructional assistants will be $96,000, $769.84. For the year, the 1 classroom teacher change will be budget neutral. It is recommended that the Special Administrative Board discuss for approval at the next Administrative Board meeting the adjustments for the 23-24 staffing plan to comply with policy IHB class size, which is aligned with the DESE classroom standards. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Mentioned a school that had 3 kindergarten
Yes, ma'am. That's Meadows.
and they did 13 in each class.
Yes,
So, and that's below, right?
it's very low. The standard is to have 25.
So could you close 1 class
Mhm.
and put them in another class or divide those 13 up?
So what'll happen is it's actually, it equals up to 39. So we would close 1 class and then that would put 1 class with having 20 and 1 class would having 19, and they would still be below the standard. And then that person will go over to Moline and be the 3rd kindergarten teacher there, where they have 30 in each classroom and they should be maxing out at no more than 25. So they'll break that classroom up and then they'll have that option to have that additional teacher. They wouldn't be moved to a different building, no, but they have space enough in that building. Are there any more questions?
So
Yes.
when you add, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Doctor.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, in relation to those types of changes, are there conversations with the union when you decide on those types of changes, given the fact that negotiations are over? I was just curious about it.
I haven't had conversations with the union about these types of changes, but I have had conversations with the building principals about the class sizes, what they're looking at, and then the options that would be. This is something that we typically do every year. So were you going to say something? That we typically make these adjustments every year.
And I was gonna say the union is in the room
Mhm.
now, so they're hearing this. But one of the things that we are obligated, the district has classroom size standards and the state has classroom size standards. And right now, we're technically out of compliance in some of our spaces. So it is to bring us in compliance with the DESE classroom sizes and the district classroom sizes. And I believe our union is support of whatever relief we can provide to our teachers who have the classrooms that are overcrowded with students and understaffed.
And
And they
those,
just nodded.
okay, so for the ones that were overcrowded, do you make any type of incentive salary wise or anything when that's the case?
So we don't make an incentive salary wise for that. What we do is we get extra support for those classrooms. And so this would be providing extra support for those teachers when they're using small groups, if they're having to pull students, if they need extra assistance, they have that extra person to support them.
And I also wanted to note, in his presentation, he indicated the specific grade levels that those supports would be identified for. And so where there's a classroom, say at 4th grade, that is at capacity, but not over the limit, the aides who would be hired would be specific for those grade levels.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just from my understanding, so when you add instructional assistants, that doesn't change the class size standards, right? So how does that bring us into
What
compliance?
it does is it adds additional support because the class size standards are based on the student, the teacher to student, the pupil to teacher ratio. So by adding in that assistant, teacher assistant, or breaking up that class and adding in another teacher, it brings us in compliance to the ratios of having adults per students.
And that is actually written into DESE's requirements. At a certain threshold, you add an aide first. And then at a certain other level is when you add a teacher.
Oh, I see. Like, for instance, LeMaster's, maybe a typo, add one instructional to support second grade, but it's the first grade classrooms that were overcrowded. So that would really be to the first grade?
Yes, you're
Okay.
correct.
Thank
I
you for
apologize.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, before you move to consent agenda, I need to ask a question for clarification regarding the motion to put a session on the November 28th agenda. There's some guidance. I know you said we're gonna advertise it, but what is the expectation of what that item would look like? Not so much so that when we put it in the agenda, we have in there what is intended to be covered. Is it the plan that the board will just answer questions, that you will each just speak about your role? Is there a specific format that you are wanting the session to be structured as? And who will facilitate that section? And I'm asking just for clarification so that we know how to move forward. Friday. Thanks, holiday.
Board members, I'm just gonna speak, and then if you're in this, I'm saying, I think this would be an absolute great opportunity for board members to be totally open and honest with their roles on the board. I think that it would be a session where maybe we can go out the session by talking about our roles on the board or what have you, pros and cons of it. And then we can open it up for any questions that anybody has. And if somebody else say something else, I'm open to it.
Yeah, Madam President, I
Dr.
think, yes, I think that what our policy or the state statutes say about the role of the board was what I was thinking to be shared. We're talking about a policy that could impact individuals that I think should be shared about their residency and so forth. So getting to the details of how you go about it, what are the roles, where you go, which has already been stated but can be reiterated, and then allowing them to either ask some questions and we share some feedback on how they can effectively facilitate the process.
That's fine. I still would like it where board members can be honest in how they feel about their board service and dedication that it takes and what have you. I think that that should be a part of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in agreement with that.
I just thought it would be a high level overview of just generally what board function is about.
Yes.
I guess my question, so you've answered a part of my question.
Okay.
Because you were clear with you wanted us to push this information out, which means we have Wednesday and Thursday and Friday to start to push it out because we're going,
right.
Okay. It needs to look structured when we get to that item. And I guess that's the question I'm asking. Even if we say these are the things that will be discussed, who's going to start that discussion? Even though you're all sharing, to make sure that all the points that you want covered are there? Is there the expectation that there be some type of visual PowerPoint. We need to know, because if we're the ones who are going to have to craft this and pull it together, we need to know what it is that you are asking. So my ask of you is you and I have our rotational meeting scheduled for Thursday. If there are any other board members who have ideas, that you please submit them to Ms. Maura Real, to Shay and I, as a structure of the program, so that when Ms. Maura Real and I meet on Thursday, we can make sure that the item is structured the way you want it. And there's, if you want a PowerPoint, that's there. We just can't wait until that day and try to do it. That's all I'm saying.
And get those out as soon as possible, because Thursday, then we could send the finalized version out. Possible Friday.
Madam President.
Wait a minute, hold on one moment.
Okay.
Dr.
Well, we, at the point, the new board member, are we at the point where, we could be asked those questions, responsibility of the board, or what we're doing, and answer those questions honestly and be able to tell them? Because, I don't know, I don't think we're there yet. And I think right now we're working on so many other things, accreditation, this and that. Whereas we don't need an application for confusion. You understand what I'm saying? I really don't think we're at the point where we can educate future board members. We're not at the point. I don't think none of us ready to educate future board members. And I don't remember it ever being done in the past. And the state DESE has been doing a pretty good job with us. Yeah, MSBA. With us, I don't think we are qualified to sit up and say, well, it's long hours, this and that. You know what I'm saying? Miranda, I think that right now we have other things really to work on than to try to school a future board member. We need to keep what we got.
Oh, well, we can't control the fact it's a board member election coming up, so.
I know that, but we don't have to school them.
But we've already agreed
to school them.
So, right, you've already agreed to vote. As I said earlier, I'm just gonna offer some insight. I think you need to talk about the responsibility once you get on the board, that the focus should be on the core of all decisions should be student, and that the board's role is the governance piece, policy. Because some people get on the board thinking, okay, I voted for so-and-so, I'm gonna tell her what to do. Those are the things. I think you say that it's more than just coming to a meeting, that you are expected to be seen in the committee. You are expected to be present. You need to learn policy and procedure. I think you can express, to Ms. Tisworth credit, you can express that it's a lot of time and not say we're there late at night. I just don't want, thank you, Shay, I just don't want whatever happens that night to be seen as a debacle and we don't know what we're doing.
I apologize for being quiet, but MSBA did provide at our board secretary training that they have on their website all of the material that would be needed to facilitate this type of conversation. So I can upload that information. It is very similar to the information that Dr. Peterson shared with the board, but these are very specific documents that a new candidate would need. So I think we can pull it together along with some of the other comments.
I just wanted some guidance from the board as to what your expectations are. Because, we don't want to come in with saying, this is what we think you should do, and you have a whole different mindset. And if it is the board's presentation and the board's discussion, then the board needs to lead that. And that's all why I'm asking for what it is you expect. I agree with Shay, we can pull that, but somebody has to be prepared to cover the sections that are there and so forth. That's what I was asking. So we're all on the same page as what the expectations are.
And I
So-
totally agree with you as well, Dr. Joy. And just keep in mind that when we do this, we'll be actually duplicating the same information.
Yes.
So
I'm sorry. We will be duplicating.
So Dr. Joyland stated earlier when she did her announcements that we were already tentatively planning a date to share information with new board members.
She did.
New board member candidates.
She did.
And so some of that same information is information that MSBA has already provided, that is on their website that you would provide to someone who is interested in running for the board. But what Dr. Yvonne Elliott and I discussed earlier today is the fact that she thought it would be beneficial to share this information with those who may not consider running, but maybe after attending a session or a Zoom or in person, be encouraged by what they hear or, you know, what other board members share. Is that about right, Dr. Yvonne Elliott?
Yes, yes, yes.
And I did tell her we were already planning to host a new board candidate session, but it would be after we've identified those candidates and they've went through the process of declaring their candidacy with the St. Louis County Board of Election.
You know,
Yes, Ms. Jackson.
I'm sorry.
Had her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I zoned out for me. I'm sorry. I think I agree with Shay, the superintendent, that when we have that meeting, we need to make sure that we're focusing on the facts. That is one of our norms. We need to focus on the facts. What are the qualifications? What are expectations?
Yes, ma'am.
And stick with the facts, because once you start putting your personal opinion into something and tell them your experience, that's your experience. If I tell somebody my experience, that's my experience. That don't mean they're going to have the same experience. So how dare I try to, put dirt on them? That it may not be the same. So we need to make sure that we're keeping our personal out at all times because we're representing the school district.
So why don't we do what Shay suggested? We will pull down the information from MSBA. We'll share with Ms. Maura Real in our rotational on Thursday, send it out to the group so that you know what it is, and then decide how the presentation will flow.
And it definitely includes our policy on the board member roles and responsibilities.
So we're in the same meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to learn all the nuances of Robert rules. We're in the same meeting, and I know we voted to accept. Ms. Titsworth brought up a very extremely valid point in the sense that we're a board in transition for real. And our knowledge is still evolving for real. I just am wondering, are we trying to reinvent Civics 101, which every citizen has the right to run for any elected office in this country? There are literally no educational requirements for that to happen. It's a desire in your heart, in your spirit. This is what you want to do. Are there mistakes that are made? We've seen them on every level in our government when people never did the job before. So it sounds like it's like fashioning it, in my opinion. You're trying to shape it a little too much when some of this is organic. It should be, in my opinion, Madam President. It's organic. You want to do this or not. So just because we voted on it, do we still have any leeway, Robert's rules, to revisit that vote?
I believe you, I know you didn't ask me the question, but I believe you always have leeway, but I don't want you to think me asking for clarification was to ask you to revote. That was not.
We understand that. Again, this is an organic conversation, and we have to be honest with each other. And she said something that I had not considered, but it's very, very valid. Where can we say who've only been on the board for months or what have you. In lieu of all of this, we all want the best. I'm just saying, what are we doing to Civics 101?
If I may. So, I agree. The material that is provided will allow a new board member candidate to decide based off of that information. And like what Ms. Jackson said, providing them with factual information, which is what we would do along with the policies and so forth. I said it would be duplicate information if we were to create an agenda item with those specific documents that are online that you all can go there. I'll send you the link and you can see those items that were provided to us. The encouragement from MSBA to have a community session is in direct response to policy KC, I believe it is. Which way?
It is.
It is in direct response to policy KC. KC was passed and there's a statute that says you will engage your district on all levels. And so Dr. Vonelli is shaking her head. That is one of the reasons why doing a session at the Missouri School Board annual conference, they shared how school districts engage community members in deciding to run for the board. That's basically all that it was to have an open session and then provide information and allow those individuals who attend to decide if they want to run.
So Secretary Coordinator, since you
Yes, ma'am.
attended that
Yes.
session and what have you?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you be the person who leads
Yes,
that
ma'am. I
discussion and
can.
whatever? Did that
Absolutely.
answer your question, Superintendent?
It does.
And I will make sure to share
you.
that with all of you, what that information looks like.
Thank you.
But you're gonna facilitate the session.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll upload all of the documentation that will be shared. And I'll work with Mr. Sinstruck and Dr. JPA on sending out advertisements. We've already discussed what will be posted on our district website and so forth. So we'll make sure that, you know, it's out there. It's up to the parents if they want to come or not, but we would definitely do our due diligence.
Thank you so much.
Cool beans.
Where are we? Comment. So we are now at consent agenda to approve the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
Move.
Dr. Coleman has motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Jackson has second. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I do want to ask one question. I believe that I heard you state that you were going to have the board of representatives, but I don't see that on here. Is that going to be the next?
It's in here. It's in consent
here?
agenda.
Where's it at?
Item K.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I see that on there now. Sorry about that. Well, then item number 11 is items for action and versus the Missouri School Board Association full maintenance policy service agreement. I have a motion to accept that.
Move.
Motion by Dr. Coleman. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jackson. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
The next one is the policy recommendation. May I have a motion?
So move.
Dr. Coleman made the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Lane made the second. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
The final agenda item, thank you, Jesus, is adjournment. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. Adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Dr. Coleman made the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Lane second. All in favor?
Aye.